Well, joining me on Newsnight is Fola Alona. There he is, in shot, a Congolese election observer and also Brand SA Play Your Part ambassador. And Nsako Mhlanga joining us this evening. Nsako, you look particularly beautiful this evening on Africa Day. Alana, you made a good effort on Election Day, on Africa Day. Good to have you both with us. I think if I may, if you don't mind, Nsako, let me just start with Mr. Alona. I'd like to talk, if we could, about the elections. That question I posed, free and fair elections, generally it seems in South Africa. So answer the question, Mr. Alona, how does SADC fare as far as the elections were concerned? What's their view?
Well, before all, I would like to thank ENCA for inviting me. I was part of the observer team called Make Us Count, which was an observer team made by South African Jewish deputies with a different community in South Africa. So we made up the team, so we observed the elections. So as you know, SADC had their representative as observers. So I'm not going to speak on behalf of SADC. I'm going to speak on behalf of Make Us Count. The election that I've observed on the 8th of May, they were very credible. The standards were very high. You know, it's unbelievable to find that people were so dedicated at all levels. I arrived at the polling station at about 6:10 because our team leader advised us that we should be there by 6 so that we oversee everything as they are going to make up the ballot board, everything. They are going to count with how many ballot paper they receive, everything. We have to witness everything from the beginning. So I arrived there at 6:10. For that I was late because I found everybody was there. Once I got there, I asked the presiding officer, did you brief already your staff members? She said that, no, listen, they were here yesterday for the special vote, so they know what they are doing, and we briefed them, they know exactly what they are doing. And then, surprisingly, at 10 to 7, she called the staff. There were 18, presiding officer and deputy presiding officer to make 20. They made a circle. She briefed them for 2 minutes. Then they had a prayer. So they had a prayer. They dedicated the day to God. So I found that was very serious business. How can the way their attitude, you could see that these people are very serious and they want this election to work. So I would like to congratulate South African government for their investment in the democratic process. Because this election were not going to be that well organized if the South African government didn't invest in it. You see, because you have to give the IEC the means for them to be able to deliver a good election. And I have witnessed it with my own eyes. The staff, the IEC members, they were very well trained. They knew what to do, and they were very considerate to everybody, to the electorate people who were coming to vote, and the observers. They respected this bib. If they see you this bib, you were wearing this bib, whatever question that you ask them, they will answer, and when you give them advice, they will implement it immediately. You see.
Mr. Alona, so clearly a flowering and certainly a high praise, Nsako, as far as the elections are concerned, from the IEC and the observers who are watching them. It's great to hear. I'm sure the South African government wants to hear that this evening. As part of Brand SA and Play Your Part as the ambassador, what was your take on the election? I'm not asking from your take on the IEC, just generally looking back as someone who was heavily involved in the elections and in the youth. Just give me your thoughts.
As much as I could be happy that a lot of people participated in the elections, I think I was quite disheartened to see how many young people did. To find out that
did or did not?
Did not. Yes, did and did not, because it's like half empty, half full kind of situation. You had over 50% of young people who didn't vote, and when you ask them why didn't you vote, it's because they had no faith, and they were really angry about how much didn't happen in the past 10 years and how much young people are still not getting jobs. I mean, you can't have 6 million young people who are unemployed at the moment. I mean, we constantly tell young people, go out and get an education, and then they do, and then we tell them, okay, go and get jobs, and then they can't. And then when they go to get those jobs, they're now looking for experience. So I think we've just put them in a really, really tight position, and it's hard on our end to convince them to play their part, simply because I feel like the opposite end isn't. we're not doing enough to get young people in the job market.
And Sako, I'm going to come back to you about the importance of trying to get youth in South Africa, A, and B, in Africa to vote. But I'd like to put that question to you, Mr. Alona, if I can. With your experience in Congolese elections, do you think there were any successes or even failures in the South African elections on the 8th of May that you can take back to Congo and give that to your counterparts there? Part A of your question. And part B, how does the youth view the elections in Congo? In the Congo, do they care? Do they vote?
Yes, I'll start with the second question. The youth in Congo are very much interested in elections because of the civic education. The civic education is very popular in Congo. Mm-hmm. Everybody is like when Jean-Pierre Mbemba was arrested in the International Court. It's like everybody who was informed, even the people in the children in the street, they knew about it. You see, and especially also the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has made it upon themselves as a duty to educate the people. So you see, a lot of young people they go to church. The children they attend the Sunday school, and the youth force there are youth programs. Mm. So the Catholic Church play a very important role to educate the people. That's why the youth in Congo, they are very interested in a democratic process.
In Sako, is that, thank you, Mr. Lona. In Sako, is that where we're getting it wrong in this country? We spoke a lot, I'm sure you heard the term before the elections, political education, voter education. But let's go back to political education. Clearly in the Congo, that seems to start with this civic education through the church, etc., etc. Is that where it's falling over here? Do you think it's not all to blame, but that must form part of it?
I think we just don't know how to speak to the youth.
We don't, and politicians don't.
Politicians. It's the campaigning. I mean, you think about how the campaigning went. People went door to door. We were handing out T-shirts like they were flyers. But did we really speak to the youth's needs and wants? Did we really say, okay, we are super comfortable with young people not voting? I mean, let's go back to when we were registering to vote. Are we really satisfied with how many young people went to go register? That's where the campaigning should have begun. And also remember that young people just want physical change that they can see, touch, and feel. Not hearsay, not something that we keep hearing on TV or on radio, whatever the case may be. We're looking for something that we can see and something that will affect us, which number one is jobs. So I think the biggest problem here is the fact that young people didn't see change. Therefore, them voting, how does voting bring the change?
I imagine then, of course, because the newly sworn in President Cyril Ramaphosa is obviously watching Newsnight here on ENCA, and he's hearing you speak about this. If you give him one piece of advice, not for these past elections, it's water under the bridge by now, for the next general elections, Mr. Ramaphosa, you're busy listening to Nsako Mahlanga, what advice are you giving him? Give him one thing, one tangible thing that you want to see as play your part, that he can do in the strategy for the next 5 years?
Well, first, congratulations to our president. I think it's quite an amazing thing that happened today at Loftus. But I think the one thing is that it's to prioritize what we're saying. The youth have a voice. We've been using our voices. Can we just get jobs? We can't be educated and at home. We can't be educated on the streets asking for jobs as if we're beggars. It can't be that. If we're told to prioritize education and we're doing exactly that, then let's meet each other halfway. I'm educated. Let's please provide the jobs.
Mr. Alona, as a final question to you, if you were to travel through the rest of the SADC region after having been here on the 8th of May, give me one success and one failure from the South African elections that you would take into the SADC region. Someone asks you this in another interview, in another channel, in another country in Africa. What would you tell them?
Yes, the voter roll is very, very, very critical. You see, you have to know who is coming to the voting station, to the polling station. We have witnessed that the scanning machine, when people they queue, they scan your ID, but that scan machine was not linked to the central server. So they won't know in any other polling station that you've casted already your vote. And it was a double, it was quite a burden because they scan your ID outside. When you go inside, now they check your name manually. See, they check your name on the voter roll, on the register, then they mark whether, they cross your names to make sure that you don't come back. But from there, you can go to another polling station. So it's make a very dangerous situation that the people can vote multiple times. It means that if they are not careful in any African country, people will be voting several times, and you won't be able to catch them. And they're giving a solution to what you have asking Ntsako, the youth, to get the youth involved. I think it's very easy. I've witnessed because as an observer, we are going around the polling station. When I arrived at Linden, what I've noticed there, most of the people were coming to cast their vote. They were bringing their children. Some were bringing the babies in the pram. Others, they were bringing the toddlers. And you could see the parent to cast the vote, give to the child to put in the ballot box. So it means that child is already excited. As he grows up, he's going to make sure that he votes by himself. So we don't get involved much children in the electoral process. That's why they are not interested.
Is that what happened in Congo? Did we see something similar like that in Congo? We saw parents coming out with their children?
No, in Congo, you see, it's a very, structured. You see, there is, as you know, the patriarchy in Africa. They don't only discriminate against women, even children. There are places where children cannot even come. You see, so I'm not talking about Congo here. I'm talking about South Africa. South Africa, what I've witnessed myself, there were people, especially at Linden polling station, a lot of them were bringing their children. So imagine if you bring a child who is 6 years old, you bring him again when he is 11. You bring him again when he is 16. And at Northcliffe, there was a teenager. They didn't want him to come in. He said, no, you are too old. Since you didn't register, you can't come in. But I can guess he was about 15 or 14. But the parent wanted to bring him in. They said, no, you are too old for that. You wait when you are 18, then you can come in. So I'm sure if we want the youth of South Africa to get involved, you must start from an early age. Every time we celebrate the Freedom Day on the 27th of April, it must be the children affair. You see, it must be the children affair. From the kindergarten to the primary school, those are the people who should be celebrating the Freedom Day. Those are the people who should be celebrating the Day of Reconciliation in December. Then we get them interested in the democracy.
Alona, I can see that you clearly have a lot of excitement about the youth, and I'm sure that Mr. Alona is almost doing your job for you. But you mentioned that it's up to the politicians. My final question to you, it's going to be two parts again. I like two-part questions.
Sure.
One, does Mr. Alona make a very good point that, yes, you can ask the politicians about speaking to the youth, but you're standing there in the voting line with your own child. Surely parents must play their part. And then B, I think so many people are going to want to talk to you on social media and try and find you. So answer the first part and then tell us where we can find you.
I love what he said, that culture. Not only are you building a culture of voting, but you're educating your child about the importance of voting. You're educating them about the history of it and why it's so significant. I think that's absolutely brilliant. And I think once we try to adopt that, I mean, it doesn't even have to be your child. It doesn't have to be it could be your friends. I mean, in my circle of friends, 10 people didn't vote, and I'm really disappointed. I feel like, did I really do my job? So it's just that we adopt that culture of togetherness and that unity, that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to educate you on why it's important to do this very thing, like vote and exercising our rights. So I think it's very important, and we need to adopt that, but not just with our families, it's with our friends, with our circles, our social circles, you know, engaging in these kind of conversations. Why are you voting? Who are you voting for? Okay,
why aren't you voting?
Why aren't you voting? And if you're not voting, let me educate you on why you should and why it's important to do that. So that culture, definitely. And the second question is social media. I'm at Ntsako_Mhlanga, NTSAKO, MHLANGA. I feel like I have to spell it. And that's all social media platforms. So that's Twitter, very active there, Facebook and Instagram.
Very easy to find. I want to say thank you to both of you on coming on Africa Day. I know it's been a long time since you've been around for the May 8th elections. And I'm going to say thank you to both of you this evening. A Congolese election observer, Mr. Folo Alona, on my far left-hand side, and Brand SA Play Your Part ambassador, Ntsako Mhlanga. Thank you very much to both of you for coming in.